When we think of ancient Egypt, we picture golden pyramids, wise pharaohs, and a civilization that stood strong for thousands of years. A land of order, of harmony, of divine kings and eternal monuments. But beneath the polished stone and beautiful hieroglyphs lies a different story. A story of conflict, power struggles, and survival. Ancient Egypt was not as peaceful as you think. For over 3,000 years, Egypt existed in a dangerous neighborhood. To the west were Libyan tribes. To the south, the powerful kingdom of Nubia. To the northeast, rival empires like the Hittites and later the Assyrians. Egypt wasn't just building monuments, it was constantly defending its borders. Pharaohs were not only religious leaders, they were war commanders. Their legitimacy often depended on military success. Many temple walls don't just show gods and rituals, they show battles, prisoners, and conquered enemies. These were not decorations, they were propaganda. One of the most common images in Egyptian art is the smiting scene. The pharaoh stands tall, gripping enemies by the hair, ready to strike. This wasn't symbolic kindness, it was a message. The king brings order by crushing chaos. War was seen as necessary to maintain Ma'at, the Egyptian concept of cosmic balance and order. And sometimes, these wars were brutal. Take Pharaoh Thutmose III, often called the Napoleon of Egypt. He led at least 17 military campaigns. His most famous victory at the Battle of Megiddo involved a risky surprise attack. When his army won, they didn't just celebrate. They looted cities, they took prisoners, they demanded tribute from defeated regions. Gold, livestock, weapons, and even people were brought back to Egypt. These resources fueled Egypt's wealth and monumental construction. Peace, in many cases, was funded by war. Egypt also built massive fortresses along its borders, especially near Nubia. These weren't tourist sites, they were military installations. They controlled trade routes, they monitored movement, they projected power. Archaeological evidence shows these forts stored weapons and housed soldiers year-round. This was a state prepared for conflict. Then there is Ramses II, one of Egypt's most celebrated rulers. His temples show him as a fearless warrior. The Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites is one of the earliest recorded battles in history. Ramses portrayed it as a glorious victory, but historians believe it was closer to a stalemate. In fact, the conflict ended with one of the world's first known peace treaties. A peace treaty exists only when there is serious war. Violence in ancient Egypt wasn't only external. There were internal conflicts too. Power struggles within royal families sometimes led to assassinations and conspiracies. One recorded plot involved the possible murder of Pharaoh Ramesses III in a palace harem conspiracy. Workers also protested. One of the world's first recorded labor strikes happened in Egypt when tomb builders were not paid their rations. These people were not passive subjects. They pushed back when survival was at stake. Nature itself could turn violent. The Nile River was Egypt's lifeline, but when floods were too low, famine followed. Food shortages led to unrest. Periods of weak central power, known as intermediate periods, saw civil wars and regional conflicts. Egypt's long history was not a smooth line of peace. It was cycles of stability and turmoil. So why do we imagine Egypt as peaceful? Because its monuments survived. Its art emphasized order. Its rulers controlled the narrative. They carved their victories in stone but rarely their failures. Modern museums show us beauty, but archaeology shows us reality. Ancient Egypt was a civilization of brilliance, yes, but also of strategy, warfare, and political tension. Like any great power, it fought to survive. Understanding this doesn't diminish ancient Egypt. It makes it more human, more real. Behind every pyramid were workers. Behind every empire were soldiers. Behind every golden mask was a story of power and struggle. Ancient Egypt was extraordinary not because it was peaceful, but because it endured. And endurance often comes at a cost. History is rarely as calm as it looks in stone.